Welcome to This Explainer. Today, we're completely tearing down everything you thought you knew about why you do what you do. If you've ever wondered why you just can't force yourself to be healthier, or why you always seem to end up staring into the fridge at 2 a.m., you are in the exact right place. We're going to dive into how our brains, and absolutely not our motivation, actually control our daily actions. Let's jump straight into Section 1, the illusion of motivation and why willpower fails. We've all been sold this idea that if you just want something badly enough, you'll naturally do it. But science, well, it tells a completely different story. Imagine this. A man wakes up at 5 a.m. every single day, not because he's motivated, but because his brain has already decided before he even opens his eyes. Now, imagine another man who says to himself every single night, "Tomorrow I'll change." But tomorrow comes, and he repeats the exact same habits all over again.
So why does this happen? Well, it's because habits are not controlled by motivation. They are controlled by your brain's survival system. And honestly, this is where almost everyone completely misunderstands habits.
Which brings us to Section 2, your brain's hidden roads and the science of pathways. Here is the first hidden truth. Habits never truly disappear. Neuroscientists discovered that habits actually become deep neural pathways inside your brain. Think of them like roads in a forest. The very first time you walk through, you have to push branches out of the way. It's tough, but the more you repeat that exact path, the stronger, wider, and easier that road becomes.
That's exactly why, even years later, an old smoker can suddenly crave cigarettes during times of intense stress. The brain panicked and just looked for the fastest highway to comfort. That old pathway still exists. So, the real goal isn't destroying a habit. It's actually building a stronger, newer habit that replaces the old one.
Moving to Section 3, the trap of familiarity, pain, predictability, and identity.
You know, ancient philosophers actually understood this long ago. Centuries before modern science even existed, Aristotle said, "We are what we repeatedly do. Your repeated actions slowly become your identity, and your identity controls your behavior far more than fleeting motivation ever could." If someone constantly says, "I'm lazy," well, their brain accepts that. It starts protecting that laziness to remain consistent. But if someone says, "I'm disciplined," their daily decisions slowly begin to change. The brain will always try to stay consistent with the identity you truly believe about yourself.
Now, this is one of psychology's darkest truths. Your brain does not care about your happiness first. It cares about safety and predictability. Even bad habits can feel incredibly safe just because they are familiar to you. That's why people stay trapped in procrastination, addictions, toxic relationships, and endless doom scrolling. The brain basically says, known pain is safer than unknown change. That's why changing your life feels so uncomfortable. Your nervous system literally treats uncertainty like physical danger.
And let's talk about dopamine, because most people think dopamine means pleasure. Wrong. Dopamine is actually the chemical of pursuit and anticipation. It pushes you to chase rewards. Social media companies understand this perfectly. Every notification, every short video, every random reward, it trains your brain exactly like a casino machine. You become addicted not to pleasure, but to the possibility of pleasure. And that cycle keeps people trapped for years.
This leads us to Section 4, the replacement secret. Stop resisting, start replacing. Here's the secret most experts know. You cannot destroy a habit through willpower alone, period. Because the more you resist something, the more attention you're giving it. And attention actively strengthens those deep neural pathways we talked about. That's why elite psychologists focus entirely on replacement instead of resistance. Don't just try to remove a bad habit. Replace it. Replace scrolling with reading. Replace junk food with healthy snacks you keep nearby. Replace laziness with tiny actions. You have to do this because the brain absolutely hates emptiness. It will always fill a void.
Section 5, tiny habits, massive change. Building repeated proof.
Most people fail because they try to change their entire life overnight. But real transformation, it starts small. Here is a super clear template to help you design your very first tiny habit. 1 push-up daily, 1 page read daily, or 1 minute of meditation daily. Focus on making these changes insanely easy to measure for daily success. In fact, create a simple tracking checklist for your daily habit progress. Tiny habits completely bypass your brain's resistance.
And by checking off those tiny actions every single day, slowly your brain starts believing, hey, maybe this is who I am now. That's how identity changes, not through some sudden burst of motivation, but through repeated proof.
Finally, Section 6, the final truth, creating your future.
So, is it actually possible to break a lifelong habit? Yes, absolutely. But not because you suddenly become stronger. You break habits when, step 1, your environment changes. Step 2, your identity changes. And step 3, your repeated actions change. It's an entire system.
Because in the end, your future is not created by your grand goals. It is created by what you repeatedly do when absolutely nobody is watching. Those small, unseen daily actions are writing the story of your life. So I want to leave you with this to think about. If we looked closely at your tiny daily routines today, what story are you writing right now?